In this video, I'm going to tell you why I hope Pete Buttigieg, the guy, the gay guy, I hope he wins the Democratic nomination for President of the United States of America. Yeah, I definitely do. This is not a joke. I hope that this guy, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, wins the Democratic nomination for president. You know, John Harris had a tweet this morning that I responded to, and it got me thinking about this. And I've been thinking about this actually for a few weeks now. And what John said is that if Pete Buttigieg gets the Democratic nomination, get ready for all the evangelical leftist articles on how Donald Trump's past adultery and Pete Buttigieg's current homosexuality are morally equivalent. Now, this is an interesting tweet because it's very clear that adultery is a sin, homosexuality is a sin, but they're not equal sins. A lot of people try to mash them together and say, well, one is just as bad as the other, and it's just not true at all. That's not true at all. One involves a natural desire, a man's desire for a woman, and one involves an unnatural desire, a man's desire for another man's genitals or anus. And so that's a very unnatural desire, and it's something that, you know, if you struggle with it and you war against it, well, I've got no beef with you. You should war against your sinful desires. Everyone has certain sinful desires that they have that they should war against so that they don't have anymore. That's a very good thing to do. But Pete Buttigieg is a professed Christian who does not war against this desire. In fact, he's has a husband and all of these kinds of things and all that kind of stuff. Now, why do I hope he wins the Democratic nomination? I think that it'll put a lot of these woke people in a very difficult predicament. A very difficult predicament. Now, my prediction on this is that if Pete Buttigieg wins the nomination, he's squaring off against Donald Trump, he will get his clock cleaned by Donald Trump. There's no question about it. Pete Buttigieg will lose to Donald Trump. No question about it. One big reason for this is the black vote, because the black vote, it typically goes for Democrats. There's no question about that, although that is changing. At least it certainly seems like it's changing to me. It is changing, but black people and Latinos and all of that in general, they're not really into the whole LGBT thing. They still actually do have a biblical morality of sexual ethics in general. I mean, obviously you can find exceptions. We saw Dwayne Wade celebrating that he failed so poorly as a parent, so much as a parent, that his son is becoming a girl and he's celebrating it. Like, keep these people away from your kids, you know what I mean? But anyway, so he'll get his clock clean because he won't be able to get the normally very reliable black vote for Democrats as much as any of the other candidates would be able to get that vote. So he'll get his clock cleaned by Trump. And I think the Democrats actually know that pretty much everyone in their nomination process will get their clock cleaned by Donald Trump. I don't think they've thrown in the towel. They're not giving up, but they pretty much know that no matter who it is, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Bernie Sanders, that other guy, that other girl, I don't even know who's in it anymore. Who cares? Every one of them, Donald Trump is going to beat. There's no question about it. So I think the Democrats know it's a lost cause, but I think one thing that Democrats do very well is optics, and they think, in their opinion, if they love the idea of having the first woman nominee, the first gay nominee. They love that. They think that's really good optics. And if Trump cleans Pete Buttigieg's clock, they get to carry that narrative, that story about how America still needs to change. We're still scared of a gay president. We're still backwards Neanderthals. We need to unhitch from the Bible and all these old Christian ways like that. That fits their narrative very well. And so going into the midterms in 2022 and then the presidential election in 2024, I think the Democrats think that Pete Buttigieg losing is the best case scenario if they have to lose. Because if Joe Biden loses, I mean, who cares? It's another white guy. Elizabeth Warren, another establishment person. Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders. This is some high quality political commentary here, I know. But they don't care. So I think that they want Buttigieg to win the nomination because it sets him up for the long game in a lot better way. At least they think so. They think it's historic to have the gay nominee, and if anyone's going to have to lose, they'd prefer it to be him because then they have another 4 years to browbeat us about how bigoted we are. That's what they get off on. They get off on telling Republicans and regular Joes in the pews and regular people how bigoted they are and evil and stuff like that. So I think that Pete Buttigieg is going to win the nomination for that. Someone said to me on Twitter, Pete Buttigieg can't win the nomination because he can't get the black vote, which I've already said is true. I don't think he can get the black vote. But I told him it doesn't matter if he gets the black vote or not. I mean, they've got the superdelegates. That trumps everything. The they can do whatever they want, these superdelegate armies. Anyone can vote for whoever, anyone can win, and if they want somebody else to win, all they got to do is call up a few favors with their super-powered delegates and ramrod something in there. So Pete Buttigieg, I think, will win. Now, why do I want him to win? Why do I want him to win? It'll put Big Eva in a very difficult spot. It really will, because I think that they're going to want to low-key endorse Pete Buttigieg, but they can't really do it directly. At least the real leaders, like the people that are the movers and shakers, like the Russell Moores and the Tim Kellers and stuff like that. These guys, the big guys, they won't be able to endorse him directly without losing a lot of credibility, a lot of capital. They would have to spend a lot of hard-earned capital to endorse Pete Buttigieg directly. So they won't do that. But I think that there's a certain amount of woke Christians that will do it directly. They'll make no bones about it. Homosexuality is not that bad when it comes to the evil that is Donald Trump's border wall. Like, there's some people that are going to do that, and that's going to be very helpful. But what's going to be extremely helpful across the board is to see what the reaction is. Because every time someone says something about this political season or these political candidates or something like that, it gives you a little bit of a window into what they really think is important. And so what you'll get probably from people like Russell Moore and Tim Keller and all these movers and shakers, all these guys, Al Mohler, all this stuff, you won't get articles that talk about the immorality of Pete Buttigieg because he has a husband that he sleeps with every night. Like, you're not going to get that kind of stuff. Whereas you would have got it with Trump, of course. Trump, he's had lots of sexual partners. He committed adultery and stuff like that. All of that's bad, by the way. I don't want to discount that. Very, very bad. But you'll get articles about that, but you won't get the same about this sexual immorality. And so it'll be amazing to see what is actually said and what isn't. And all of it is going to be very helpful. And so I hope Pete Buttigieg wins because it will make Big Eva squirm. And it'll provoke them to respond in some way. And what they say, whatever the response is, whether I'm wrong and they all just endorse him, or if they low-key endorse him, or if they just don't endorse him but don't really say much about immorality, in every way they lose credibility. It's all good for me. And so I like to see what the reaction's going to be. I want to see what their angle is. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I predict that Pete Buttigieg is going to win, and it's going to be super interesting to see what kind of nonsense Big Eva puts forward about his candidacy. Anyway, I hope you found this video helpful. God bless. Seriously, I just think of that meme where you got the guy sweating, he doesn't know what button to push. That Pete Buttigieg as a presidential candidate, if he wins the nomination, that's going to be going on in every Big Eva meeting room, every conference call, every planning session. They're just not going to know how to approach it because they've had so long to rip Trump. It's easy to rip Trump, You could say he's racist, he's just a white guy, he's rich, he's committed adultery. Those are all very easy sins to talk about when you talk about the morality of their candidacy. But this gay guy, and he's like squeaky clean too, he's a good-looking guy, It's gonna be very tough to write any kind of article when you're spineless evangelifish, like so many in Big Eva are. They're gonna really treat him with kid gloves, and it's gonna be so funny. There's going to be a lot of content coming about this. At least I hope so. At least I hope so. That's why, as a Christian, I hope Pete Buttigieg wins the nomination.